name is Dean Aguilar. I am the CEO of Digital Muse Media and the Dean Aguilar Group, which is a real estate team here in San Diego. And I am excited to chat with you guys about building your brand through Instagram. I know a lot of you use Facebook and other sources, but Instagram lately has just been an enormous platform for having a two-way engagement with your audience. And so what I wanted to share with you today is a little bit of some strategies that you guys can use to maximize your ROI when it comes to obtaining clients, having communication, building your engagement, building your celebrity status online. So without further ado, let us see if we can get you going on a screen share here. All right. All right. So let's talk about personal branding. Personal branding. All right. I think a lot of people mistake what they do for a living as their brand. And you have to understand that your personal brand is really one story. It is who you are, what you stand for, the values you embrace, and the way in which you express those values to the world. All right. So on Instagram in particular, people need to know who you are. Okay. People need to know a little bit about your life. It is very, very, it's common sense that if they know, like, and trust you, they're going to work with you. Right. So there are a few mistakes that I want to talk about that people, unfortunately do when posting. So let's go through those if we can. And we're going to go with the top 5. So number 1, skipping foundational brand work. Okay. So you need to analyze how you best communicate with your audience. So as an example, if you're the type of person who normally sends out like a lot of emails, maybe you have a blog, maybe you have an email sequence, or you journal, people are used to seeing you in written form, then on Instagram, you may want to consider doing a little bit more of, like imaging with longer captions. Okay, because obviously they're used to reading your information, and that is how they're taking your information and soaking it in. For those of you who have big email lists, that is something that you want to consider, right? For those of you who shoot a ton of video, and I do, right? So my audience is used to seeing me on video form, right? They're not used to seeing me, write out emails or anything like that. You're just used to seeing me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I just shoot a lot of video. And so they take to that type of communication way better than me writing anything, because honestly, I'm not the best writer in the world. Number 2, biggest mistake is ignoring your personal story. We are naturally guarded as individuals, right? We don't want to necessarily share or be vulnerable. The problem is it is very hard for someone to connect with you unless they know something about you. And so I encourage you that if you're the type of person that had a story, it could be a bad story, but you have to be willing to share, okay? Maybe health issues, maybe things that you love, like fitness, golf, whatever it is, right? You need to share those experiences because you are going to connect on a human level with folks. I think we focus sometimes too much on the generic stuff, or make the mistake of overselling, a product. So the other thing, we'll go to number 3, only sharing other people's content. So don't be the person that's always just, going to other pages, or they see a quote and you're always sharing it to your Instagram feed, right? While it's good and you see it and it's something that you like, if you're going to do something like that, you have to make sure that you share something that has already proven to be viral. Okay. So let me repeat that. If you are going to share other people's content, don't necessarily share it because you like it, because to be honest with you, with Instagram, it's not about what you like, it's what about your audience likes. So you have to be able to find things that are, if it's a motivational quote or a meme or some kind of infographic or whatever it is, just make sure that has caught a lot of, virality online, so that way they, that if you share it, there's a very good likelihood that people will engage. The reason why this is important is you have to understand that Instagram is solely built for engagement, right? They have multiple things: polls, stickers, questions, countdown timers, their DMs. I mean, there's so many things that invoke engagement on the other end, more than any other platform that exists online. It's just a two-way communication, right? And it's a fun platform. So that's why Instagram loves when you have high engagement. Now, it is not necessarily having to always do with business, but what happens is if you have other things that went viral, right? Naturally, the algorithm, which by the way, is very, very simple. All right, people think the algorithm is some confusing thing. It is not. The way the algorithm it is built is, if Instagram deems that your platform is, valuable because it's getting a lot of two-way engagement, the algorithm naturally will boost you in rankings and it will show it to more people. Okay, so let me repeat that. The algorithm, super simple. You have higher engagement, back and forth communication, no matter if it's a personal or business post, the algorithm will know, they will show it to more people. Thus, if you tag local hashtags and you post local things after your viral post, so meaning, let's say you took a viral post that you knew went viral other places and you posted it. And then immediately right after that, you posted something about business or local. Let's say you're selling a home in a subdivision that's a great price, something like that. Naturally, you're going to get more views on the second one. Data just shows it. It's very, very simple to do. So there's a sequence of postings that you certainly can do to gain more attention, if that makes sense. Okay. Number 4, you guys have seen this on Facebook. Please don't be polarizing one way or the other. Do not public vent. Do not have arguments with your audience. Do not get political and do not get religious. All right. Now, depending on when this airs and when you see it, we're in the middle of COVID. You're going to have to be very careful on your opinions one way or the other, because honestly, these types of topics are very emotionally charged, and it's not the kind of conversation you really want to be having with your audience. So common sense stuff, I know you guys know that, but I have to put it in there. Okay, number 5, one of the biggest ones, okay, one of the biggest ones, and you guys have to be really, really careful of this, is only focusing on you instead of your customers. Well, a lot of you are sitting here going, well, Dean, I live for my customers and I this, that, and the other. Well, then why the hell are you spamming them with coming soons and just listed and I sold this property over asking in 5 days? And literally that's your entire Instagram feed. It's like spam, 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 spam. Look at me, spam, spam, right? It's not about you. It's not the way that you're going to gain clients on Instagram, credibility, engagement, people to like you, people to work with you, none of that stuff. That's not how you're going to do this. What you need to do is you need to talk with your audience. You need to ask what things are bugging them in the real estate field, in your personal life. Have a human conversation to be able to then gain the respect to be able to then sell. Okay. So make sure that you put the clients first before your need to sell and pitch. All right. I hope that made sense. Okay. Let's talk about why Instagram. Okay. 1 billion monthly active users, 500 million people on Instagram stories every single day. And we're in the middle of COVID-19, which we're on lockdown right now. I'm not quite sure, again, when this is going to air, but I can tell you that there has been a 30% increase in social media usage during this time. Now more than ever is the time for you to be on Instagram and be posting as much as humanly possible, because it is the biggest increase in social media history of usage. All right. And it's only going to get, I don't want to say worse, but better, as far as communication and the use of social media for informational purposes, entertainment, all of that stuff. All right. So I highly, highly recommend for you to hop on now if you are not doing it and start posting consistently, because to be honest with you, if we're in quarantine, you have nothing better to do. And you certainly could be trying multiple platforms at this time with things that, you put off in the past, right? So let's jump into a couple of things that you guys could be doing. Let me just skip here. And before we get to that, let us go here. Okay. So I want to give you guys a little bit of, some hacks and tips that you guys can do for your Instagram profile, because this is very, very necessary in order for the Instagram algorithm to pick up your profile. All right. And here's what I mean by that. Your bio, all this right up here, right underneath where it says Real Dean Aguilar, all of this is SEO friendly, meaning when people are looking up hashtags or accounts, maybe they're looking up Tennessee real estate, stuff like that, right? Those things are searchable. And believe it or not, a lot of people do search off of those tags and those accounts. You want to give yourself the best option to be able to be found, all right? And so the way that you're going to do this is this. You have your URL, right? And my recommendation is do not post your real estate team, company, or profile. Keep that as a separate team and post all your coming soons and stuff like that. If you are building your personal brand, your brand is you. It is never your business. It is not about your real estate team. It is you, because your interests go farther than real estate. If you were to start another side business or another business altogether, if you wanted to take up public speaking, if you wanted to do donations, it doesn't make sense doing it under a real estate platform. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. Your brand will always be you. Try to come as close to your name. You can use, if it's already taken, because believe it or not, a lot of them are. A lot of us have, names that are semi-common. You can always put real or official, or you can do Dean_Aguilar, right? There's a Dean.Aguilar. There's a lot of variations, right? But try to come with your name as much as possible, so that way you're branding yourself. All right. Underneath, when you have a business profile, and by the way, everyone should be on a business profile, because it allows you to view analytics of what's performing well and what doesn't. It'll also allow you to run ads and all that stuff, right? Right here where it says celebrity brand advisor. Now, for me, it makes sense only because we've got a number of celebrities, NFL players and stuff like that on my digital agency side. And that's called Digital Muse. So what we do is we work with influencers. We actually work with a lot of real estate teams and agents on growing their followers, on Instagram. My partner and I, Sharon Srivatsa, some of you may know him. He used to own TELUS. He grew it to 3.4 billion and sold it to Douglas Elliman. He and I are partners in this venture, and we coach every single week with our clients on growing their brand through Instagram. And part of that coaching involves our celebrity influence in the space. Okay. So for me, what I've done here is, instead of putting my name, which is what most people do on that line where it says celebrity brand advisor, I put myself searchable. So if people were looking for celebrity, I pop up. If people were looking for brand, I pop up. Advisor, I pop up. So what I would recommend for you guys in the real estate space is, if your name is pretty apparent in your URL, you don't necessarily have to do it again on this line. Okay. I don't need to put Dean Aguilar again on here. People already can see who I am on my URL. So what I would advise you to do is, if let's say you work in the Tennessee market, right? Then I would put Tennessee real estate advisor, Tennessee real estate agent, Tennessee real estate team, something along those lines on this line here. Now, keep in mind, right, that the bio is super character sensitive. All right. So that means it only gives you a certain amount. You're going to have to get kind of creative on sometimes shortening words, leaving out words. Maybe instead of using the number 4, instead of 4, FOR, things like that, right? So just get super creative. The second thing that you need to do, or the third thing you need to do, is you need to make sure that you highlight. Remember, this is like a walking billboard. Think of it like LinkedIn, right? Where it's like the best version of you possible needs to be here. So when someone lands on you, they need to be impressed. and they need to be, you know, you want them to actually want to stay on the platform. So in order to do that, you're going to want to put your accolades first, any awards, recognition. If you've been in publications, local or, you know, national, doesn't really matter. You're going to put that here. So as you can see, featured in Forbes, featured in BuzzFeed. There's a number of publications under my highlights that I've been under. Those are the things that I want to highlight first because it gives you instant credibility, right? The second part is who I am, what I do. Again, third part, another award we received for the fastest growing brand agency through Yahoo. Wasn't able to fit in that part, but you know, we did it nonetheless there on that line. And then the last part, okay? For those in real estate, a number of ways that you could do this. Obviously, we all have landing pages. You want to do your call to action. Now, for me, Sharon and I are giving away the first 90 days of our coaching. Again, it's every single week for an hour, and people can sign up right here. And we're offering that to you as well. So all you need to go to is Real Dean Aguilar. You can click on my link there and sign up for Sharon and I's weekly coaching on brand. It is not a listing presentation. It is not a buyer consultation, you know, type of coaching. This is what you need to do at open houses. This is about building your brand on multiple platforms each and every week. Very, very niche down to brand, okay? Anyway, the call to action. So for you guys, home values, white papers on 10 mistakes that, buyers do when they buy a home, stuff like that, so that you can collect emails and opt-ins, right? So for those of you who are good with funnels and sales pages and landing pages, that is where you need to put your call to action. Now, here's the thing, all right? And I can't express this enough. Do not put your website and do not put Linktree. And there's a reason for that, okay? Is your website is very broad. So we hit it, we go to Joe Blow Real Estate Team, and literally it's just a website. There's no call to action. I don't know what I'm looking at other than careers, home, about the team, all the little icons that are on your thing. It tells me nothing, right? And you may have a search feature for homes, great, but it tells me nothing, right? So get very, very niche down and specific. If you're going to send someone to your website, send them directly into the page where they can actually search for homes. And then maybe it's, hey, and get creative with the call to action. So don't just say search for homes here. Maybe search for off-market properties not listed in the MLS here, right? Much different call to action, very specific and very intriguing versus very generic and what everyone can do online, right? Linktree. I think it's good for a lot of different places, emails, email headers and stuff like that, our signatures. But the problem with Linktree on Instagram is the attention span is very small, right? So meaning they will flip through different posts and feeds and stuff like that very quickly. And with Linktree, a lot of the agents and teams that we work with, we have to let them know that when you land on Linktree, there's literally 15 options, okay? So look at my YouTube, look at my LinkedIn, here's my this, here's my that. It's too many options for the consumer. And when the consumer has too many options, they choose none, okay? When the consumer has too many options, they choose none. Get very, very specific on your call to actions, all right? All right, so let me transition into a couple of things before I wrap up. We only have about 30 minutes. Normally I've got about an hour, so I'll be happy, by the way, to answer any questions should you guys want to learn more about Digital Muse Media and how we help people grow on Instagram. Then what you'll do is just reach out to me at Real Dean Aguilar, follow me and send me a DM. I will be happy to answer any questions and set up a call with you guys, okay? So let's talk about the differences of what you should post on your feed and what you should post on your Instagram stories, all right? So on your feed, okay? Your feed is a section where you're going to give value, all right? So let me repeat. Your feed is a section where you're going to give value. You're going to give them a little bit about you, and that is where you'll do, some of your videos and your how-tos and stuff. Now, I would recommend for you to test different viral pieces along with a little bit of personal, along with a little bit of business. Business and real estate should make up no more than 30% of your feed. 70% should be a little bit about personal, a little bit about virality posts, meaning maybe quotes and memes that you guys share anyway that you like, right? Because you want the engagement to spike, to be able to actually watch the content that you want them to watch, if that makes sense, okay? So make sure you're testing different things. Your personal stuff can be anything, some stuff that you're experiencing with your kid. Maybe you're into fitness and stuff like that. You can show that side of you. It's a way for you to connect with your audience. Be sure that you write out your captions to be able to explain so that the people have some context of what that picture or video is, right? So people understand once they are able to read it what it's about. Okay, so make sure you take a little time. Don't put 2 words, at least 3 or 4 sentences, to be able to explain the content. Okay, so again, just to recap, your feed should be purely value. It should you should be testing different pieces, and it should be totally valuable. The hashtags, you can do up to 30 hashtags in a given post. You can either put it in the captions itself, or you can put it in after you've post. You can then go back in and make the hashtags in your first comment. Okay, it really doesn't matter, to each his own on that. When you put it in your captions, however, make sure you drop down, like after you finish explaining on your captions, right? So after you finish explaining, so let's see if I can have it here. So like here, I just put tag a friend who needs to see this. You see how there's like 3 dots separated before my hashtags, or my tags and then my hashtags? It's because on the mobile version, right? On the mobile version, if you have it together, it's going to be jumbled together and it'll look very messy. So you want to separate the captions along with the hashtags, all right? With the tags, it's always good to tag 4 to 5 people that will bring high engagement, meaning if you have people that that will actually comment and like back on your feed, but they have a large following, it is highly recommended to do that because you have more of an opportunity to bring in more followers through them. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, so your feed is your value. Let's talk about the juicy stuff, which is your Instagram stories. All right, your Instagram stories is where you should be doing all of your selling. Okay, let me repeat that. Your Instagram stories is where you should be doing all of your selling. All right, because you have to look at it this way. Stories is very unique because I literally have to click on your face to be able to find out what's happening with your life. That is the warmest opt-in that you will ever have. We spend a lot of times, my real estate team and you as real estate professionals, try and get hot leads, and your stories are the hottest leads you will ever get, because while it is a condensed version of people watching your stuff, it is the most engaged version and followers that you'll ever get. Okay, so when you post your stories, there's a lot of things that you can post. You can post it on, and just in written form by hitting the create sticker and button and start typing out some stuff. I highly suggest on doing a few different things every single day, if you can. It takes 2 seconds. Please try it and attempt it. Is do different polls and questions, and they can be random, right? But something that invokes a lot of engagement and response from the other side. You don't want to be controversial, but you want to be you want to post something that will get a response, because if they respond to you, it will show up on your DMs and your analytics, right? It allows you to then respond back to them in their DMs. And what happens with the algorithm is Instagram says, hey, these people know each other. Let's continue to show your stuff to them more often, all right? And to other people. So again, the algorithm loves engagement. If you post something engaging and they respond and you respond, you're going to have a better likelihood of having a high amount of views on that story. And what's interesting is after that particular story, you're going to magically see that your next 2 frames of things that you post have more views than your other posts, okay, and your stories, right? So very clear to see when you do something like this. So again, random questions, random polls, or they could be specific. It could be specific about real estate. So do you like marble or Corian countertops? You know, stuff like that, right? But you want engagement, right? Oddly enough, my biggest, and look, not everybody has 250,000 followers, right? And I understand that. So we'll just, it's just relative to what you have as far as followers. But my biggest post on stories was I had 8,000 views, okay, on one Instagram story, and it was simply a question on how many people hit the snooze button this morning. The amount of responses that I got was astronomical, and the amount of views I got was astronomical. And subsequently, I had every frame after that it was like 4,000, 6,000, 3,000, more than I ever gotten. And because I normally hover around 1,000 to 2,000 views on my stories daily, right, when I do them. So that was a 5-time jump, you know, in that type of questioning, right? Something very basic. So again, it's you spiking the engagement to be able to lead them to the things that you want, all right? The last thing I want to share with you is people ask me all the time, hey, Dean, how do I, you know, if I'm going to get on there live on video, right, and I'm going to hold the button down and I'm going to start doing a story and you know, saving it to my stories, what should I say and what should I do? Okay, let me give you the cadence on how you should do this, the sequence on what you should say. Number 1, all right, when you're shooting a story, right, and you're holding the video down and you're talking, whatever subject that you're talking about, leading them into something that you want them to do as far as a call to action, here's how it should be done. Number 1, start with a pain point or a question that your audience has. Pain point or question, meaning I'll give you, this is just off the top of my head, but let's try it, right? So like you're there with the phone and everything, and you're going, hey, have any of you ever wondered, you know, ever thought to yourself that your credit score wasn't high enough because they were in the high or mid 6s, but you didn't think that you could actually qualify for a loan? Pain point, right? That might be something that, and that's something, granted, you guys can tweak any of this, right? But that's just something, so that's a pain point or a question, right, that an audience or a first-time home buyer may have, right? Very specific. The second part to that is a story, okay? So first is the pain point, then you're going to tell a story about a client or yourself. And then it goes like this. So have you ever thought to yourself that you had a low credit score but couldn't qualify, you know, for a loan when you really wanted to buy you know, your first home? Well, let me tell you a story about my client so-and-so. He reached out to us. He was really gung-ho about this, that, and the other. He thought he couldn't qualify until he met with us and we talked to him about all the different programs, X, Y, and Z, right? You can go on to whatever it is that your story is. So again, let me repeat. Pain point, story, because the consumer loves to connect with a story. The third part is what you did to help them, so part of the story. So here's what we did. We lined out a plan. We met with him. We talked about all the options and credit repair to get him back up. But oddly enough, we realized that all he needed to do was pay X, Y, and Z down, and within 6 weeks, he would be able to qualify. So now, again, it's going back to you fixing the problem, okay? So again, let's recap. Pain point, story, what you did to help them, and then the last thing is the pitch. You wind it up. You just, at the end, say, here's what we did, right? And let me tell you, we can do this for you. We've written out 3 steps to where you can do X, Y, and Z. All you need to do is click the link below, and we will send that to you. And it could be an opt-in. It could be a buyer consult. It could be a lot of different things. It could go to your calendar or directly to your Calendly. A lot of options here to come up with, but Again, I'll do it one more time. Pain point, story, what you did to help them out, and then your pitch. When you get to 10,000 followers, and we've done that multiple times, we can do it very quickly with my business, or we can do it over a spread out amount of times with the amount of followers that we drive for our clients. But it's up to you should you decide to do something like that. But if you have 10,000 followers, then you unlock a feature called a swipe up, in which you can ask your audience to swipe up, and you can add a link to send them directly to your call to action. However, you don't need it. If you don't have 10,000 followers, the call to action could simply say DM me. But what we really like is a really niche down a call to action. So here's what I mean by that is choose a word. So DM the word credit, and I will be sure to send you that link, right? So what happens now is two things happen. They DM the word credit. You immediately know that it's the story that you did yesterday about the credit problem that your client had. So you know what call to action that was. You now respond, hey, thanks so much. Here's the link that we talked about. So now Instagram deems it as a conversation, and it counts as engagement, and you get to send them the call to action, and they opt in. You do not need your 10,000 followers to do that. All right. I hope that was very, very clear. Just use the DMs to your advantage. All right. So, all right, let me stop this here. Let's go back. Nope. We don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. Get here, 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 here. All right, guys. Let me get back here. All right. So stop share. Okay. So in short, when you're building your personal brand on Instagram, just make sure that you are being super transparent. Please share, be vulnerable. With me, I want to tell you that I've used, so for me, I'll just share with you. I have a number of health issues, right, throughout my life, which has built some character, on who I am and how I approach things and why I'm careful, why I'm into fitness, why I work out 7 days a week, why I eat the way that I eat, and take care of myself. But that comes out in my delivery, and people tend to connect with that. For me, I have one lung. I have 12 different surgeries, with a lot of other things probably coming down the pike. But like I said, it's part of me. It's part of who I am, and I have no problem sharing that with other people. And I think that in order for someone to connect with you, they need to know, love you, understand you, and then be able to trust you to buy with you, And so stop thinking so much about social proof, because you can do that. You can mail your postcards, you can send your emails, but don't vomit all over social media with your coming soons. Okay. That's the best advice I can give you. I hope that this was value to you guys. And by all means, you can always reach out to me. So just go to Real Dean Aguilar, follow me on Instagram, send me a DM. I'll be happy to help. All right. CINC Nation, take care of yourself. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon.